The HOA president stood at my gate with 2 cops, pointing straight at my 10-year-old daughter watering flowers and shrieking, "That child is unsupervised near dangerous chemicals." I almost laughed out loud, until I saw the look in her eyes and realized this wasn't a joke. But here's what Barbara "Barb" Wilkins, self-appointed queen of Sunny Ridge Estates, didn't know. I'd spent 15 years as a federal investigator dismantling bigger crooks than her pastel-wearing dictatorship, and I'd learned one golden rule: never shout when you can wait and watch them hang themselves with their own lies. My name is Alex Rivera. 45. Retired early. Moved my wife Sarah and our daughter Lily to 6 quiet acres right on the edge of her perfect little kingdom because I wanted peace, not paperwork. Turns out peace had a price tag, and Barb was determined to collect it with interest. The first week felt like heaven. Sarah planted her herb garden, Lily chased lizards across the gravel, and I finally had a garage big enough to restore my old Mustang without anyone filing a complaint about the eyesore. Our house sat just outside the gated gates of Sunny Ridge. Technically private, county-zoned, 0 HOA strings attached. I'd checked the deeds twice, hired a surveyor, even walked the property line with the previous owner. No overlap, he'd sworn. Famous last words. On day 8 the envelope appeared, shoved under the gate like a bad Yelp review. No stamp, just a glossy label. Mandatory Community Integration Notice, Sunny Ridge Estates, HOA. I opened it in the driveway while the desert sun beat down. The letter dripped with that fake-friendly corporate tone. Dear valued adjacent property owner, due to recent expansion for enhanced community amenities, your parcel has been deemed contiguously relevant, contiguously relevant. I snorted so hard Sarah poked her head out the kitchen window. They serious? She asked, wiping her hands on a dish towel. Dead serious, I said, scanning the fine print. 10 days to pay a $5,000 initiation fee, sign their bylaws, and start coughing up $185 monthly dues. Or else administrative remedies including legal action. I folded the letter neatly and smiled the way I used to smile at developers who thought they could hide a forged signature. That afternoon I drove straight to the Sunny Ridge Community Bulletin Board, the sacred cork shrine covered in pool schedules and lawn height violation warnings. I taped my response letter right in the center, bold red ink. My property is not, has never been, and will never be under your jurisdiction. Further contact will be treated as harassment. A couple of retirees in golf visors stared like I just set their HOA flag on fire. I nodded politely. Public notice. Perfectly legal. Then I drove home whistling. 2 mornings later I found footprints. Small, deliberate, high-heeled, cutting straight across my back acre, 50 yards past the bright yellow "No trespassing" signs. I followed them to the ridgeline where the land dropped toward an empty wash. And there she was, Barb Wilkins, clipboard in one hand, laser measure in the other, sketching sightlines like she was planning an invasion. Mid-50s, blonde helmet hair. Pastel cardigan buttoned to the throat even in 95-degree heat. She didn't flinch when I cleared my throat. Morning, neighbor, I said, voice calm. You're about 60 yards inside my property line. Care to explain? She clicked her pen, turned with the serene smile of someone who'd never been told no in her life. Barbara Wilkins, president of Sunny Ridge Estates, HOA. I was just ensuring the new community walking path doesn't infringe on anyone's enjoyment. Walking path, I repeated. On my land. She waved a manicured hand. It's for the greater good. Think of the children. I thought of Lily instead. The greater good ends at my fence. You've got 30 seconds to leave before I call the sheriff and make this official. Her smile tightened. Just a micro-twitch, the kind I'd seen on 100 fraudsters right before they doubled down. The last owners were much more cooperative. They sold within weeks. I'm not them, I said. She spun on her heel and marched back across my dirt like it already belonged to her. I watched until her designer sandals hit the asphalt. Sarah met me at the porch, arms crossed. She's scouting for something? Yeah, I muttered. And I'm going to find out what. The first police visit came 3 days later. 2 cruisers rolled up slow, lights flashing but no siren. Standard we don't want to alarm the neighbors approach. Officer Ramirez, the tall one, raised a hand. Mr. Rivera? Got a report of possible squatting on this address. I wiped grease from my hands, stepped to the gate. Squatting? I own it. Deeds in my office. The younger cop shifted uncomfortably. Caller said the real owners moved out months ago, and someone unauthorized moved in. I laughed once, short and dry. Let me guess, blonde, clipboard, voice like a smoke alarm on low battery? Ramirez's partner bit back a grin. I brought them inside, laid out every document like a winning poker hand. Grant deed, title policy, county GIS maps with my parcel highlighted in neon yellow. Ramirez whistled low. Everything checks out. Sorry for the inconvenience. As they walked back to their cars, I spotted her, Barb, standing across the street with two HOA board members in matching polo shirts, arms folded like they were posing for a Tyrant yearbook photo. Ramirez noticed too. He exhaled through his nose. Civil matter, he muttered, but his tone said he already hated this call. Barb lifted her chin. This isn't over, Mr. Rivera. Compliance is inevitable. What's inevitable, I called back, is you learning exactly where your authority ends. Spoiler. It ends at that yellow line. The next 3 weeks became a greatest hits album of absurdity. Illegal shed construction. Except the shed had been there 20 years and I had the permits. Noise violation at 2 p.m. while I was using a cordless drill. Suspicious adult male me working on my own car. Each time the cops showed up, took one look at my paperwork, apologized and left. Each time Barb watched from her driveway like a disappointed substitute teacher. Then came the call that changed everything. It was a Tuesday, blindingly hot. Lily was in the side yard mixing baking soda and vinegar for a volcano science project. Harmless, messy, exactly what 10-year-olds are supposed to do. Sarah and I were 10 feet away folding laundry on the porch. The cruiser came in fast, gravel flying. Ramirez stepped out, face tight. Mr. Rivera, we received a report of child endangerment. Hazardous chemicals, unsupervised minor. My blood went cold. Sarah's hand found mine. Lily looked up, eyes wide, vinegar bottle still bubbling in her hands. Ramirez held up a palm. Just have to check protocol. He walked over, glanced at the 2-liter soda bottle and baking soda box, and sighed so deeply his shoulders dropped. This is baking soda and vinegar, ma'am? Sarah's voice shook with rage she barely contained. Yes, officer. For school. Across the street Barb stood motionless, sunglasses hiding her eyes, but her posture screamed victory. Ramirez turned back to us, voice low. This call wasn't just false. It was malicious. Document everything. Cameras, timestamps, the works. That night Sarah paced the kitchen. She used our daughter, Alex. Our actual child. Lily was asleep, but the fear still lingered in the house like smoke. I stared out the window toward the HOA gates glowing under their perfect LED streetlights. She's not just enforcing rules anymore. She's desperate. And desperate people leave trails. The next morning I started digging, quietly, methodically, the way I used to when a developer claimed a wetland was dry land. I pulled the HOA welcome packet I'd never thrown away and scanned the pretty map on page 12. A dotted line labeled Future Community Amenity Corridor ran straight through my back acre, ending at a proposed private golf cart path and pool service access. The QR code in the corner looked innocent. I scanned it anyway. The public page loaded fine, but buried in the source code sat a ghost file, PDF. I typed the direct link and hit enter. There it was, Memorandum of Understanding between Sunny Ridge HOA and Green Vista Developments. Barb had promised uninterrupted easement access by June 30th in exchange for a very large facilitation fee. The attached deposit slip showed $48,000 wired directly to B. Wilkins' personal account. Not the HOA treasury. Personal. I leaned back in my chair and let out a slow whistle. $48,000, I whispered to the empty room. And another $500,000 waiting once the access is secured. Barb wasn't protecting the neighborhood. She was selling it, piece by piece, starting with my yard. I didn't confront her. I watched. I waited. And I started building the trap. The next wave of inspections hit like clockwork: environmental, zoning, fire, health department, Even animal control because someone claimed we had unauthorized livestock. Lily's goldfish didn't count. 7 county trucks in one day. Sarah stood on the porch with her arms crossed, voice sweet as sugar. Would you like some iced tea while you waste taxpayer money? The inspectors looked embarrassed. One whispered, Ma'am, we know this is harassment. Keep records. That night the real fun began. I was calibrating security lights when the motion sensors lit up the back fence. 2 figures in dark clothes rolled heavy barrels off a pickup truck bed, right onto my property, right where the proposed easement would run. They worked fast, sloppy, panicked. One kept muttering, Barb said it'll look like he's dumping waste, just tip and go. The other, thinner, younger, tripped and cursed. I caught every second on 4 separate hidden cameras, including the trail cam they never spotted under the creosote bush. I didn't clean it up. I left the barrels exactly where they dropped and went back to bed. Next morning the environmental quality inspector arrived before my coffee was cold. Anonymous tip about hazardous materials on your land, sir. I waved him through with a smile. He searched for 40 minutes, found nothing because the barrels had mysteriously vanished overnight. Someone had panicked and removed their own evidence. The inspector left shaking his head. Whoever's calling these in is wasting our time. Across the street Barb watched from behind her blinds, face pale. Her deadline was 12 days away. The fire came 3 nights later. I woke to the heat sensor screaming. Flames licked the dry brush beside the storage shed. Small but hungry, heading straight for the paint thinner and gas cans inside. I grabbed the hose, soaked everything, killed it in under 2 minutes. Then I spotted the glove half melted in the ash. Cheap orange work glove, same brand the HOA used for their maintenance crew. And in the distance, a dirt bike engine sputtered away into the desert night. I pulled the thermal footage. Clear as day, Barb's 19-year-old nephew Tyler, limping slightly after tripping over his own stupidity, sprinting for the bike. I bagged the glove, labeled the SD card, and smiled into the darkness. Keep swinging, Barb. You're only digging deeper. The next afternoon Sarah received an email from her employer. Urgent investigation into falsified records and possible embezzlement. Attached PDF looked professional, until I checked the metadata. Created on Barb's office computer at 10:17 a.m. The same day she'd been screaming about child endangerment. Sarah sat at the kitchen table, hands shaking. I didn't do anything, Alex. I know, I said, pulling her close. And now I have proof she's willing to destroy you to get to me. That was the moment I stopped playing defense. I left the workshop door cracked, lights off except for one monitor glow. On the bench I placed a thick folder labeled Evidence B. Wilkins Corruption Originals. Inside, harmless decoy papers on top, and at the very bottom a single sheet. Smile, Tyler. You're on candid camera. Tell Barb I said hi. I sat in the shadows 40 yards away with cold coffee and waited. At 1:47 a.m. the side door creaked. Tyler slipped inside like a raccoon that had watched too many bad heist movies. Flashlight beam jittered across the walls. He spotted the folder, snatched it, flipped pages, then froze when he reached the note. His head snapped up, scanning the rafters. Click, thermal camera caught his face in perfect panic. I stepped out of the dark. Evening, Tyler. He yelped, dropped the folder, backed into the workbench so hard wrenches clattered to the floor. I was just, Barb said. I know what Barb said. I cut in softly. She said you were expendable. That if anything went wrong she'd blame the dumb kid. Sound about right. His knees buckled. He clutched the note like it was burning his fingers. I didn't raise my voice. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to put that note in your pocket. You're going to deliver the boring decoy papers to Aunt Barb tomorrow morning and tell her you found nothing useful. And when the sheriff comes knocking on her door, you're going to tell the truth, every single word. Or that thermal footage of you committing arson goes straight to the DA. He nodded so fast I thought his head might detach. I sent the encrypted package at 4:03 a.m., 6 exhibits, chain of custody tighter than a federal indictment. Video of barrel dumping, thermal footage of the arson, Tyler's break-in confession, the MOU and deposit slip, forged employment complaint metadata, timeline of every false police call. Subject line: Multiple felonies. Sunny Ridge HOA RICO pattern evident. 37 seconds later my phone buzzed. Package received. Units mobilizing at first light. Do not engage. I slept 3 hours and woke to the sound of multiple engines. 6:41 a.m. The sky was still purple when the black SUVs rolled in. County investigators, 2 marked cruisers, unmarked detective cars. They parked in a perfect semicircle around the HOA pavilion like they'd rehearsed it. Officer Ramirez led the pack, warrant packet in hand. He knocked once. The door opened and Barb appeared in curlers and a silk robe, coffee mug trembling. Officers? Is there a problem? Ramirez's voice carried across the quiet street. Mrs. Wilkins, I need you to step outside. We have a search warrant. Her face went the color of old oatmeal. There must be some mistake. I'm the president here. I can explain. No calls, Ramirez said, gently taking her phone. That's evidence now. The cuffs clicked. Neighbors poured out in robes and slippers, phones recording, whispers turning into shocked gasps. Tyler stood behind a lamppost, pale as milk, eyes on the ground. Barb spotted him and lunged. You little. Ramirez held her steady. Ma'am, stop. She twisted toward my house. Our eyes met for 1 second. I lifted my coffee mug in a slow, polite salute, the smallest possible gesture, and turned back inside without a word. Behind me she screamed my name until the cruiser door slammed. By 7:38 a.m. Barb was in the back seat, mascara running, 3 board members handcuffed in the second SUV. Officers carried out boxes of files, hard drives, even her desktop computer. The street grew quiet again, but Sunny Ridge would never be the same. That afternoon I bolted a 12-foot steel post into concrete by my gate. At the top, a weatherproof plaque with a giant QR code in simple text. Public Record Archive, scan for truth. The site I built overnight, Sunny Ridge Watched US, held every video, every document, every timestamp, fully redacted and legally posted as public records. No opinions. Just facts. By sunset 50 people had scanned it. By noon the next day over 200. Notes started appearing at my gate. Thank you. We were terrified to speak. About damn time. Sarah's employer sent a full retraction and apology the same week. Lily took her volcano project, now titled, How Baking Soda and Vinegar Exposed a Real-Life Villain, all the way to regionals. And me? I sit on the porch most evenings with a cold drink, watching the desert turn gold, neighbors waving as they walk by, some even stopping to thank me. Last I heard, Barb took a plea deal. 14 years. No more clipboards, no more pastel cardigans, no more greater good speeches in a federal facility. One night Lily asked, Dad, why'd you build the QR thing? Isn't it over? I put my arm around her and watched the sun disappear behind the ridge. It's over for us, kiddo. But not for everyone else still living under people like Barb. Sometimes the best way to stop a bully is to hand the whole neighborhood the receipts. The porch light clicked on. The desert cooled. Real peace, the kind you earn, the kind you defend, settled over the yard like a blanket. So tell me in the comments, was Barb just enforcing the rules for the community? Or was she the real criminal all along? When does neighborhood standards cross the line into outright extortion? Who do you think was truly in the wrong here? The guy who bought his own land, or the woman who tried to steal it with a smile and a badge? Drop your thoughts below. I read every single one.